Well, for a while there, I thought we were stopped, and while I couldn't see any harbor from my side, I just thought we were docked on the starboard side of the ship. It seems that we are actually still moving, and we are not quite there yet, despite it being after 10 o'clock. And I'm on my way to the theater in order to wait for my shore excursion to be called. We aren't going ashore just yet, that's for darn sure. All right, I think we finally pulled in, and I've gotten my sticker, but I probably need to get back into the theater just in case they call the number. I know they've still got to jump through a few government hoops before we can come ashore, but we're just about ready to go, and I'd better make sure that I'm ready to go. There's a slight incline on the way out. There's quite a crew sitting out here too. For all that I was warned that I was going to get lost if I ran ahead, I don't think that's happening. You kind of can't miss the buses when they're lined up. As long as I know what number to go to, I'm good. So we're at our first stop in Fort Bonifacio neighborhood. Basically, it's the neighborhood for the Philippine Armed Forces, mostly because it had been there during the American occupation. And one of the main remnants of that is this, the American Cemetery, which is something of a misnomer because it includes both American and Filipino casualties of World War II, nearly 17,000 of them, because it was a brutal war that hit the Philippines brutally as well. It's a complicated thing, the relationship of the United States and the Philippines. We drove out the Spanish in the end of the 19th century, yes, but then we didn't release the Filipinos to their own independence. We simply became the new colonizers, which did sort of go against our grain, and our president at the time wasn't entirely keen on it, as I understand it. But the will of the American public was as it was, and we took up what we thought to be, in the words of Rudyard Kipling, the white man's burden. Which, in retrospect, there's no doubt that America made mistakes along the way as well. But, to a certain extent, it needs to be established that we did what we could with what we had on hand, both in terms of ability and in terms of attitude. And the Philippines are independent and free because of it. Or perhaps in spite of it. I'll leave it to those that understand it better and know more to really argue that. Well, we're at our second major stop, the Ayala Museum, and I admit I have no idea what to expect here other than the fact that we're in the business district, Makati, or Makati, I guess. They don't pronounce the H's like that. There is a shopping center right next door, which we'll filter into at some point between the two trips. I don't know what to expect, but at least I might as well let you know where we are and where we're going. The Ayala Museum is named for a family of entrepreneurs who became rich and decided to establish one in their name in the heart of Manila. I could decry the corporatization of culture like that, but it's really quite unfair. We have the same thing going for us in the Field Museum in Chicago, named after Marshall Field and his family. So I've got no right to say anything about that. And as with the Field Museum, which I was comparing it to, the Ayala Museum focuses mostly on history, specifically Philippine history, which stands to reason, as where else would you expect there to be a museum dedicated to the history of the Philippines and its people? The marquee exhibit here happens to be one on one Jose Luna, whose work Himine, Roman Wedding, is supposedly a masterpiece of Philippine classical art. Done this at the Salon in Paris, won a bronze medal for it. Basically, matching the Westerners at their own game. The perplexing thing is, while they seem to have sketches from Manila, they don't seem to have a copy of the original painting, which is presumably in private collection. I'm not sure. I'm rather puzzled about this, but maybe they've already taken it down as this is literally the last day that Luna's paintings are on display here at the Ayala. Well, here on the 4th floor, this is some of the stuff that your folks would be absolutely fawning over, I'm sure. Clothing, weaving, and the Filipino way of doing both. It's a shame that they never had the opportunity to check this out. I have to admit to finding myself a little confused by the layout of this place. The stairwells are in various different places, and while I can see people on the other side of that glass, on a walkway between presumably the museum and the shopping center, I see no way to get from one to the other. And it looks like we're basically on our own for the time being. And the good news is that I can see right outside is where our bus would be to pick us up. The bad news is that won't be for another hour. The good news to that is I've still got an hour to find my way around. Okay, I think I've found my way out. I'm in the courtyard of the Ayala Museum, and it looks like the way to the Greenbelt, or at least Greenbelt 5, is that way. The only problem is that this supposedly is the way to Greenbelt 4. And believe it or not, a chapel. Apparently they have a church connected to both museum and the shopping center, so you can get everything done on a Sunday all at once. What would Daniel Amos and Terry Taylor have to say about this, huh? I'm not going to claim exhaustion from walking through the same old names here and there. I will say that the Greenbelt doesn't offer much in the way of new names, or at least stuff I haven't seen. It's either something from America, or from Europe, or from Japan. In terms of its appearance, it has a certain difference to it, but I don't know if that's distinctly Filipino, or if it's just the way this is laid out in particular. But thus far, I haven't been able to spot anything that really calls to me, because I haven't been able to spot anything that is uniquely Filipino, to be honest. Again, you've got the well-known names, both in terms of food and in terms of fashion. So it's very much the same as any place that we might have gone to back at home, be it the Fashion Mall of Rosemont or any other such place. And of course, most of that never appealed to me, so why shoot this? It could be argued that I might be able to find bargains here. That's fine. But if it's a bargain on something I'm not particularly interested in the first place, what difference does it make? Yes, it's mildly disappointing, but not entirely surprising. I mean, I'm in the heart of the city. I would be seeing the names that the city people want. The trendiest, the hottest. The names that the most status conscious would be all over. And since I'm not one of those people, this doesn't really offer anything to me. It is how it is. Some places are for some people. This just doesn't happen to be something for me. Well, this is almost funny. I've gotten onto the second floor and I think I've actually found my way to to that walkway that I couldn't figure out how to get to earlier. I'd wave at my former self, but he's not over there right now to wave at, so that would be pointless now, wouldn't it? But I'm right. I might as well show you where I was standing and where the bus should be once I get out of here. And yes, I still need to find my way out of here at some point. But at least you can see where the Ayala Museum is and how to find my way back. And I've only got about half an hour, which probably isn't enough even if I were to find something to snack on at the moment, which is a bit of a shame. The irony is, I think the one thing that I'd really like to try is something from Jollibee. I know, I could get that back at home, but we've not done that. Even after all this time. You know, at some point we really should get everybody together and head out to Evanston and do that, but it hasn't happened so far. Can we expect it to happen anytime soon? No idea. One particularly interesting store to have around here is a place that is selling motorcycles, or, well, Pastor Scott and Jr. would turn up their nose at the idea. You call those motorcycles, but you know, if you want to get around in downtown Manila, a big Harley hog is not going to do it. You're going to need something a little smaller to get around. So this is the place to get them, apparently. Well, I seem to have found my way into something called the Landmark, which actually feels more like Woodfield than like the Fashion Mall. All well and good, and a little bit more like being at home, to be honest. But at the same time, there's this feeling of, even if I find something that appeals to me, what am I going to do with it, and how am I going to get back to the bus on time? It's almost a bit of a shame, but it is kind of fun to wander about and just take a look at all this. Oh, there's a name I haven't conjured with in a long time. And is that? Oh no, that's not the Buffalo. They don't do ice cream. Oh my goodness. And I got nowhere near enough time to try them. Well, I regret to inform myself that I'm going to be kind of short on time. It is 1:45. I need to be at the bus by 10 after, and I know full well there's not a snowflake's chance of me getting my order, if you saw that line, and eating it there, or even, I don't think, because I don't trust my walking in this kind of traffic, getting back to the bus with it in a bag. So I may have to come back later if I have time. I mean, we're going to be here until 10:30, so it's entirely possible I can get a shuttle back. But I don't know. We'll find out. It is chaotic here, which I guess shouldn't come as any surprise. This is Sunday. This is everybody's day off. They've been to church, and now they've gone from the temple to the money changers. Since everybody has to eat, that's not really a surprise. But it leaves me at a bit of a loss and in the middle of a whole bunch of lines. So gonna have to try again a little later on, I think. The Landmark really does feel like one of the anchors back at home, most of which have pretty much died. This has definitely not, but if I was looking for something other than just footage, I might be tempted to spend a little more time here. As it is, I'm kind of short on something to do here, which is fine because I'm also short on time already. So I guess I've got to get myself put together be careful while I'm walking because I can't look straight ahead and mind my steps going down and get back to where we can expect to find the bus. It really is a chaotic setup around here, I'll say that much. But I suppose if you live here, you're used to it, just like anywhere else. Where the exotic becomes the mundane, none of this is particularly spectacular. But there are the occasional flashes of, this is unique. Such as the multiplicities of these half Jeep, half bus Jeepies, which are unique to the place. Actually, I thought they were Indonesian origin, but apparently they're Filipino because war. You had the GIs here with the original Jeep, and then what they left here got added to and added to and added to until what used to carry 2 and 4 GIs would now hold 24 locals that agree to go on the bus. Well, I made it back with more than enough time to spare. I guess it's possible I wouldn't have if I'd have taken more time to do the things that I thought I might want to. I don't know. There will always be the regrets. There will always be the I should have or maybe shouldn't have. But you gotta take your choices and live with them, I guess. No real idea what to do with myself for the next 10 minutes or so. Oh well. And I wonder if I didn't rush my way through the museum. Or if I'd have had better luck if I'd gone straight in one direction or another once I got to the green belt. I don't know. I mean, part of it is because I can't control what happens to be in the direction that I'm going. I don't know what to expect. I don't know how to make a beeline for the bee. So if I find it, I find it. If I don't, I don't. And if I find it with too little time, well, that's just how it goes. Well, if at first you don't succeed, there are always other options. So welcome to the Mall of Asia, as opposed to the Mall of America. Let's give this a try. As much as I might want to wander around and see what else there was, I'm not sure I'd find anything, and I think I'd just waste time and wear my feet out for no particularly good reason. I think I'm just gonna get on the bus, walk through Rizal Park, and call it a day. So perhaps I might as well give a second try to my farewell to Manila. I did actually get called out on my way in with the backpack. I'd forgotten to take the shaker out. Although, now that I think about it, I wasn't required to present the customs document at all. So, but as long as I didn't take it out, I haven't really brought it in because it's just been there and not done anything, I hope. Either way, I've sort of promised myself and to Daniel that I'm not leaving any of you here in the Philippines. If they don't want you, then, well, that's their call. So I guess I need to be more careful about asking going forward. But we'll see what other countries ask in the future, I guess. It seems a bit of a shame that you don't get to travel with me, or rather you don't get to stay, which, okay, maybe that's just as well, because I don't get to stay either. So I don't get a lot of time in these places, I have to admit. But for now, I think I've had enough time, and I will need to get an early night because tomorrow is going to be an early morning. So hopefully I can manage, despite the fact that things are going on over here at the docks. You can probably hear some of the noise from this point. I don't know if that ever slows down or not. It's a city. I can't imagine that it would. Although our guide did talk about there being a curfew. And I guess that's a remnant from COVID days. So I guess that's not been completely shaken. Give them credit. Apparently the whole COVID thing has put the entirety of Manila on a fitness kick. And they have people showing up in public parks to do exercises and whatnot. So, yay, I guess. It's an interesting thing, what we've undergone in the last few years. Some of it good, some of it, well, some of it can't be helped. Some of it I'm glad you don't have to see. Some of it I'm sorry you're missing out on. The world spins on. It continues around the sun, which continues around the center of the Milky Way. And has been for time immemorial, it seems. And sometimes seems like it will do until time immemorial as well. For now, though, let's leave each day to itself, and I'm going to call it a night. So long, Manila. It's been an experience. It's been an education. Will I come back? Not likely. Will I regret that? Also, not likely. But I'm glad I've been here. That's something. There are plenty more places to stop at, both on this particular voyage and on the one I call my life. We'll see how it goes from here. In any event, keep an eye on me, honey, and wish me luck. I'm gonna